This is my student Owen, a 20-year-old kid from the US that went from being completely broke, working night shifts and dreaming about building a business around 8 months ago, to now living in Bali with his girl, working from his laptop and running a business that he's proud of that will make him hundreds of thousands per year. But the craziest part is that just 8 months ago, he had zero skills, knowledge or experience in anything whatsoever.
Even me saying my goal is to scale to 50K, like honestly, that's more of something on my task list. One week I'm working for minimum wage, and the next week I have like 7-figure e-commerce founders on the phone, like offering me equity in their company.
And in this video, I sat down with him to ask him how he did it and to break down step by step how you can do it too. All right, so this is Owen, my dear brother and my mentee. And Owen is now a 21-year-old entrepreneur running a growth partner agency that partners with e-commerce brands and helps them scale the same way that I do through affiliate creators, UGC video ads and paid ads on TikTok and Facebook. Now, Owen, obviously we've got a lot to go through about your journey and I'm really excited to go through it. So take us back to the start. So obviously 21 now. Tell us about when you got started and kind of the story of how and why you got started back then.
Yeah, so I've always kind of been like into business and stuff, like more entrepreneurial. Always hung around the kids in school that were like into business and that kind of thing. And my first kind of like kid business was like flipping stuff on like different platforms like eBay and whatnot. Just like if I found it at a thrift store or garage sale, I'd flip it. And in high school, I made like maybe 10 grand just like flipping stuff. But obviously that's not any kind of sustainable business. And so I always kind of wanted to evolve into something bigger and something more long-term, more like important business, I guess. And so, you know, over the years, I kind of poked around on YouTube, saw different like business models and that sort of thing. The agency model really resonated with me, just, you know, watching like the big gurus and that kind of thing. And then through that, I eventually found your video. It was actually an interview that you did with one of your old mentors back in the day. And then from there, I found your channel and then joined a Discord group that you were hosting back in the day. I guess this was quite a while ago now. And then, yeah, I remember being in that group for, I don't know, it must have been like maybe a year and a half or so. And I didn't really do anything with it. Like I was never really like a serious action taker in any kind of like real sense towards my goals or anything, just kind of like doing the bare minimum to get by. And yeah, one day I decided like, you know, I actually want to like take it seriously. Like I actually do want to build a real business. And so I sent you I remember sending you like a direct message, which I'm sure we'll have on the screen or something right now. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the rest is kind of history. We started like a one-on-one mentorship. I'd say what started as like a more like business coaching really became like a true friendship. And yeah, from there started the ecom GPA, and yeah, the rest is history.
100%, bro. So what would you feel like was the main reason, like the why, as to why you want to actually reach out to me? Obviously you've been in that state for like, you know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years of like, you wanted to get going with the business, you actually wanted to be successful, but like, you didn't really do much with it. So what changed in your mind to go from that state or the way you were for like a long time to actually want to take action, reaching out to me? I actually want to get started properly.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could point to like one thing and say that was like something happened, but I think really I just got tired of my own BS at some point, and like,
yeah,
just like I was just maturing more into like the mindset of a real man, I think, and not like, I didn't want to act like a kid anymore, you know what I mean? And I think probably a lot of people watching this can probably relate to that if you're like a younger guy, 17, 18, maybe younger, 19, 20. And yeah, like I was just trying to get out of that kid mindset. And one day it just hit me like, if I don't take my life in my own hands, like no one's going to come and do it for me. No one's going to build the business that I want to build. No one's going to create the life that I want to have except for me. So yeah, I guess it just kind of became a reality to me. And from there, I just decided I'm going to take action from that day forward.
Yeah, 100%, bro, 100%. And when I saw the message, I was really happy because obviously I'd seen you in the Discord. It was like a free Discord we had for like a long time. So I'd seen you in there for like a while. But yeah, to see you actually like messaging me and like reach out for help. Because obviously I didn't really have much going on back then. Didn't really like want to sell anything. But I knew that guys who came to me, I would be happy to mentor them. So what do you feel like the shift was? Obviously, because we worked on a lot. You know, it wasn't just about building a growth partner agency, but the same for me. We had to work on a lot of like mindset and like understanding how you want to be as a man and like overall just like being the way you want to be and who that is and how you can live life. So what do you feel like the biggest shift was when, you know, before you started working with me to then, you know, in that first couple months of when you started to like take action and change the way you were living? What was the biggest shift you felt you had?
I think it was just a shift in identity, like kind of like what I said, like just seeing myself not as someone who wants to start a business, someone who like wants to do these things, but actually becoming that person and like actually putting in the effort and making it conscious. Like I think journaling every day was a big thing, like just bringing to my awareness like the things I actually wanted to do and keeping it top of mind. But I mean, I changed. Like I'm a completely different person from when I first was in that group that you were hosting, or like when I first sent that message to you to kind of kickstart this journey. Like, because even being back in that group, I was the kind of person who was scared to like jump on the voice calls. It wasn't even like video calls. We just did like the voice calls, and I was one of the people who didn't want to speak in them, or I didn't want to be called on in the group kind of thing. So just like totally different, because now obviously being on this is something that would have terrified me, the old version of me, like even being on an interview like this. So
100%, 100%, bro. I feel the exact same. Feel the exact same. I saw that in you as well. Like, obviously, we had our calls, and I would see, like, as time progressed, like how you just gain a lot more confidence, not just the business, but just yourself in general. Obviously, that confidence in yourself is the main thing you need. Like that is the business is you. So that was a massive thing that I saw. Like in you, the more you start to actually, it wasn't like a straight away thing. Like you took a little bit of time, a month or so, to get into it in terms of the way you were living, the way you were doing your work, and the way you just perceive your work. But yeah, when I saw you make those shifts in the way you were being, like I could see the change in the way you were talking, the way you would change, the way you would like come back to me with questions and answers in terms of what you've done that week or what you've done that day. So yeah, bro, I feel like you had a massive shift, even though you may say it was slow. I feel like it was really quick, especially for being like 1920. It was really quick in my opinion. So what do you feel like? Obviously, going through the process of building a growth partner agency, compared to what you'd been in before, been learning about before, more normal SMMA and more normal kind of like basic agency, kind of like understanding that kind of like low level business. So what do you feel like the biggest like shift was, or like what did you feel when you actually like started to go through the process of learning like the growth partner agency way, like with me, compared to learning, for example, how to build an agency like you had before from other courses or whatever else you'd bought into or looked at?
yeah, I mean, I think the process is completely different, right? Because in any other like agency course, or just in general, like even if you watch free content on YouTube, pretty much all they teach you is an arbitrage business model. So to me, like it sounded good more when I was like a younger kid, because obviously just flipping stuff on eBay, like you think, okay, I can sign a client for 2K and then pay someone on Upwork to fulfill the service or whatever. Like it doesn't sound bad, but the reality is it's honestly not that much different than what I was doing as a kid in high school. It's just an arbitrage opportunity. You're not really a real business owner. So, I
Yeah.
mean, the biggest difference is you actually have real like foundations to the business, and like
Yeah.
you're actually solving a real problem for a business. So the entire process is completely different. And really what it is it's a more like leveraged agency too. I don't know if we can have time to go into like that stuff too much, but like reading books like The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, like that's a book that you share with me, that was completely transformational. Um, and I feel like just the principles and like the foundations of the business model are so much more solid and like just more advanced compared to like a basic agency that you would learn about elsewhere.
Yeah. 100%. So did you feel like when you started building your growth partner agency, you were like building like a real company this time, and not just like a kind of
Yeah,
basic
yeah,
where you
100%.
building businesses, but
Yeah,
basically, like a service arbitrage, job servicing kind of business before, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
100%. So obviously, one of the parts that you run a growth partner agency the same way I do in the e-commerce industry. When you work with e-com brands, and we'll talk about it, but you actually, even from the get-go, you're working with very very established e-com brands, very successful ones. So obviously, a key part of the process that obviously differentiates growth partner agency owners or growth partner agencies compared to, for example, SMMAs and like basic agency owners, is that I put an emphasis on you actually learning and understanding the e-com space, even like the theory of it, understanding like how to grow e-com brands, especially through the method of growth that obviously what it is you're offering, affiliate creators and UGC video ads and paid ads. So what do you feel that process was like? That process that a lot of people would normally be scared about, becoming an expert. How long did that take you, and how did you find it while you were going through it?
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I think a lot of people are probably scared about that process too, because I definitely was like before I got started on actually learning what I was going to be doing. And also, I think a lot of people that you see that talk about agency and that kind of thing, like it is just a drop servicing thing. So they actually actively tell you not to learn about the service, which I think that's definitely not the way to go. I think in the current landscape of like like e-commerce and agencies and that kind of thing, I just don't think you're not going to find success doing that. So that actually be one thing of advice I would have to anyone watching is like, if you're trying to run an agency and you're not seeing success, you have to ask yourself if you actually feel like you're an expert in what you're offering. Because if the answer is no, then You definitely have a lot of work to do before you're going to see success. But the actual process of becoming an expert, like honestly, like it just takes a little bit of time, but it's not like anything too hard. And most of the stuff you can learn, you just get from free sources on YouTube or Twitter. I know for me, like I just went into a period of maybe a month and a half of just complete obsession about what I was learning about. Where, if someone mentioned a group on a group, like a Discord group on Twitter, like I would join it and I would actually go in and like learn things in like private Discord groups, and like I would DM people that were big on Twitter and like actually ask them questions, and some of them actually responded with like helpful answers and stuff. So just like wherever you can go to like get the information that you need to become an expert in your service, like you just have to put in the work, and it won't take that long. It just takes a little bit of effort.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that what you just said there, that is a key takeaway from your journey for sure. Like I feel like one thing that you did that really was a separator from you to anybody else that tries to build an agency was I saw the obsession. Like you were learning more about it than even I. Well, you'd be spent more time learning than I did. So if I was going to say like what's one of the things that separated Owen and got him to where he is and made it, like, got him to sign his first client in 4 days, compared to a lot of like other guys who may not learn from me and do the process that I go through and try to build an agency and make money, is like Owen really was obsessed like for like a month or whatever it was, and that just like only month of obsession while he was still building his agency, like that separated him like night and day compared to the way he was before or the potential he had before. So what do you feel like, this is obviously a big topic that I'm sure like a lot of people have the question on, like how hard is it? What do you feel like the biggest advice you'd give to somebody who is like thinking that way about becoming an expert, if any e-commerce, info products or SaaS, whatever it is they want to get into? What do you feel like your biggest advice is about going through that phase?
I mean, I would say first of all, go into it with an open mind, because if you're thinking that it's hard, it's probably because someone told you that it's hard. Because honestly, it's no harder than anything else, like any other skill. You just have to start. But if you've been consuming content on YouTube and these sorts of things, people telling you maybe start like a local service agency or something, because e-com or info products are so hard to do. It's like there might be a little bit more of a steep learning curve, but it's not rocket science. You know what I mean? Like you can just go on Twitter, you can talk to people, you can get resources, and you can like learn about it, and then just apply what you learn. And it's honestly not that difficult. Like, I don't have too much. I don't have too much to say about it. I mean, it's just not as hard as people make it out to be.
And that's what it is. I think like when you actually experience it for the first time, you just realize that there's actually a lot of information, especially on Twitter, like kind of untapped source of information. Like information to where like you could, people took years and years to acquire the information like through experience, but you can pretty much fast forward your like journey of understanding an industry or like a method of growth that you could then offer to a company. That may take years to actually get through experience. You can get that in a month just by studying their content and going through their content and like synthesizing it. And it's kind of like processes or like step-by-step advice that you could follow yourself when you have a client. And that's obviously what I saw Owen do. And, he literally went from having zero idea about ecom whatsoever to then, and obviously, like I said, in that month or so, like the confidence you had and like how deep you went into like the specifics about each part of the service, like that was incredible. Like that is what a really big differentiator was in terms of like how you then went on to build your outreach process and decide how you're going to build your offers. Like that, I saw like how much of an impact that had and how resourceful you became through that process of actually learning. And that in general, like you gained a massive skill as an entrepreneur, like to be able to like think, okay, I want to enter a massive industry. How am I going to do it? I'm going to learn first. And that process of learning, like how to get into a massive industry and like the ins and outs of it, or like how to grow companies in that industry, like that in itself is a skill you'll take for the rest of your life. And for example, let's say in the future, you want to build a startup and understand AI or some other industry, you can do the exact same thing again and get deep into it. Within a month or so, you'll become an expert in something new. So I feel like that is a really key process that people are scared of because, like, for example, you said, guys online, YouTubers, are all saying that because you're a beginner, don't try to start these complicated agencies. Just start like a local business agency providing a very basic service, social media management, Facebook ads, AI automation, wherever it could be. I think that like you're a testament to where a guy can start from nothing, same as I did, start from like having zero knowledge within like a month or so, then genuinely actually being an expert. Like I would consider you, after that month of learning that you went through, I would consider you as an expert. Like you knew more than a lot of people that I've ever talked to, and that only took a month for you to get through. So obviously, like that learning phase is one thing. Then we went on to build your offers together. That whole process of understanding how to build an offer, how to present offers, and how to like actually charge 5 to 10K per month for a client. So also as well, that's something. How did you feel Like compared to obviously after we went through the process of like building our offers, I taught you to understand how the offers are built the way that I do it, and how to present them with the proposal doc. How do you feel like your mind shifted compared to before you started? Thinking about charging 5 to 10K per month from like your first ever client. Like how did your mind shift from before you started to then after we went through the whole process and I taught you everything, you understood everything? How do you feel like your mind shifted about that idea of charging 5 to 10K per month as a beginner?
Yeah, I mean, it completely shifted because before, I started working with you, like I was trying to do more of like a basic agency, kind of like what I said before, and like anything I could do to get clients, like free work or like the most I would ever dream of charging is maybe like 1.5 or 2K or something per month. Um, but then also like the concept of an offer to me, like you completely opened my mind to what an offer actually is. Because I think again, coming from like watching videos and that kind of thing, like you think an offer is the service itself, or you think an offer is like some kind of phrase or something like we add something, like we add whatever to businesses using like whatever your service, like just stuff like that, or like or you don't pay or your money back or whatever. It's just like these might be mechanisms part of an offer, but it's not an actual offer. So like from learning from you what value actually is in like a business sense, and like how to package that into a real offer was like completely transformative in my mind. And like,
100%.
I mean, yeah, just the way you learn how to do it is like 5K a month is basically, it's not nothing, but it's nothing crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's completely different perspectives that we have.
Comprehension, right? Yeah, it's like the understanding like where that money comes from, why the value you're providing is actually very like it's actually very fair, if not even like kind of cheap to be honest, to pay you 5K a month. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, it's a total steal for the client, to be honest. For like the server, I mean, at least in my case, like the services that I'm offering, and I mean, same goes with you. Obviously, we have very similar offerings. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, especially like when you break it down to the client on call with the proposal doc, the way that show me how to do it, like makes it a complete steal for the client.
100%, 100%. And that's why I saw it, like especially when I that for me, like even when I was starting out, I remember like the guys in the winner circle, they can watch my first ever sales call. And obviously, Owen watched that first ever sales call too when he first started. And he was like, "You watched that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's actually not that hard. Like charging 5K a month, or like how you actually present that offer to them, and then them saying yes to you. Like it's just a belief that is instilled in us by like gurus to make us believe that it's too hard to charge that much. You just charge less and buy my course because it's like an easier way to do it. But like, yeah, I feel like when you just that those beliefs are shattered, like then you can 5K a month is like your first ever retainer, and obviously that's the experience that the Wolf Punter Agency. That's the whole idea of it, the whole philosophy of it. Your first couple of clients should be those kind of numbers. So obviously going on from there, like you went on to we built the outreach process over a couple of weeks, and we got that all done. We built a teacher taught you how to do outreach and how I do it. So what do you feel like? Obviously, this is when like the cool stuff starts to happen for you. We're like we built everything, we got it all ready. And I remember at this point as well, you were like all in, you were really, right? Like
Yeah.
you were all in as an entrepreneur, not just with the business model, but it's all in as an entrepreneur. So this is when like the time came where like we built everything. Obviously the way that it works with my mentees and the guys that I teach in the winner circle is that they can get a VA, a virtual assistant, trained by me to do their outreach, and then I place them in their team. So that's exactly what Owen did. So I trained a VA from the Philippines. Theirs valued around like $300 per month. Then I placed that VA into Owen's team. So I was now Owen's full-time employee. And then they were the ones actually doing the sourcing, the messaging, all that kind of stuff every single day. So Owen wasn't wasting his time. And at this point as well, this is when Owen was like so all in. So obviously I'd been living in Bali in Indonesia for the last year as kind of we started with our mentorship. So he'd seen me there, like I'd be talking to him about that living in Bali and how good it was for like a while. So he was like, I just want to go. I want to be all in. I want to change my environment. I want to improve myself overall. Obviously, like be all in with the business too. And he actually saved up money from doing a night shift. I remember you telling me you're doing a night shift for like a couple of months or whatever it was, for a while to save up money. And you saved up enough to be able to just like book that flight to go out to Bali. So what happened for Owen was that, and I'll pull up the screenshots as I talk about this of like the chat with this VA, and the VA sending the messages and say, "Oh, we got a call booked, we got responses." But literally the first day that his VA started messaging the leads, obviously after we built the process, we were getting like 5, 6, 7 replies in a day, which is like really, really good for like an outreach process in general. From like maybe 50 messages sent, we get like 7, 8, 10 replies. And then on the like third or fourth day, maybe like even less than that, this is when Owen actually flew to Bali. So Owen actually flew to Bali before he even signed the client because that's how all in he was. And I feel like that's also a very big thing where the fact that he was so all in and he committed to himself like that, and he like kind of, just made that commitment, he got rewarded for it like really well. So while he was on the flight, I remember obviously I saw the message before Owen did. because I was in the chat with his VA, and she sent a screenshot of like the one a massive ecom brand booking in a call. So one of the leads that the VA reached out to, it was like a huge brand, like multiple seven figure per month brand. That's what they put in the form as well when they booked in a call. They booked in a call on like the third or something day of outreach, and that's while Owen was actually on the flight. So obviously, when you landed, tell us a story of like how that felt and like what happened there and how you were feeling, and like obviously for the first ever time, you're like booking in a call with like a genuinely massive like potential client. How did that feel, and like what was the story of that? How that happened when you were there in Bali?
Yeah, bro, that was crazy. So I remember we got outreach launched, and I remember like I was getting ready to leave from the US to go to Bali for the summer. And like obviously the VA had the outreach going, and I remember like setting my Calendly so that they couldn't book calls while I was obviously flying for like that day or so. Yeah. Because obviously it takes like a whole day to fly from the US to Bali. And I remember like I landed in Bali at like midnight. So I got there like really late. And I get to the hotel finally. And so I'm finally on the Wi-Fi and like I'm ready to go to bed because I'm just dead tired at this point. And so I check my Telegram and I check my email and I see like, oh, we actually booked in a call. And then I see like they make like multi seven figures a month. And I was like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's the craziest feeling. Because at that point, I think I'd only booked in like one or two calls over the past like couple years of like trying anything I could to run like an agency of any sort. Like obviously before we were working together. And so for that to happen, especially like that early, I was gassed, bro. Like I can't even lie. Like it was pretty exciting. Um, yeah, because and then obviously that was the first day I was there, so I kind of felt like that set the rest of the tone for the rest of the time I was there. I was like, okay, like this is what this is going to be about. You know what I mean?
yeah, 100%, 100%, bro. Because like when it comes to getting results from outreach, like people ask me, when should I expect results? Like Owen was like that. I don't even want to say like you should expect what Owen got because he got better than what I remember. It took me a few weeks to get calls booked in when I first started, but Owen, the way we launched it with him is like yesterday on the first day we got like 10, like 7, 8, 10 replies. Second day probably the same, and then the third day is when the call got booked in, and then obviously that call was like with the best quality lead you could ask for in terms of a potential client. So yeah, like that is like a testament to where like people ask, how long should you expect it to get results, or how long should it take? Like if you do everything properly the way that Owen did, you follow the same kind of process that I took Owen through, and obviously as well, it wasn't just a process, but it was also Owen himself, the way that he was like obsessed with learning, and like that obviously then translated into the way that he was building everything with me, and the work that he put in. That all came together, and then he was, like I said, rewarded for all that work plus the commitment in himself to go to Bali, even though like he obviously, most people would be really scared to make that commitment and then like fly to Bali, which is obviously a place full of entrepreneurs. It's like that, most 20-year-olds, every 20-year-old in the world would never do that. You know what I mean? Like even for me, like I thought that I was rare, but then seeing Owen do it like that, it's like inspired me a lot. So I hopefully it inspires anyone else watching this to see that, Owen didn't really have any clients, but he still made that commitment. He saved up the money, he put the work in, did the night shifts, whatever he did, back at home. And as soon as he was ready, when he was 20, he then booked a flight and said, "I'm going all in." And then he was massively rewarded for it in like a crazy way straight away, pretty much on the same day as you actually can make that commitment. So yeah, I feel like that was really awesome to see for me. I was like, yo, this is insane. So obviously, yeah, that let's talk about Bali. So how was that? How did it feel? Obviously, actually, let's go back to the when you actually close that client. So obviously, you got the first call booked in. Then I think a few days later, you got a second call booked in, and you actually were able to close that second call straight away. So how did that feel? Like closing your first ever client, getting that straight between shot through. Like how did that actually feel for you when you did it for the first ever time?
I mean, bro, that's an even crazier memory than getting the first call booked in, obviously. But like, so it was like 2 a.m. in Bali, I remember, because obviously the time zones are crazy, and also I didn't have my calendar updated, but then you kind of told me that's just the way it is. Like you just take calls early in the morning.
Yeah,
So yeah, I was already like pretty tired or whatever, but I was just like, all right, we gotta take the call. And so I remember it's like super dark in the room because also, I didn't have very much money going there. So the place I booked didn't even have a desk or anything. So I was just in bed at like 2 a.m. and I'm like super tired.
yeah,
I'm sure it comes across too because I'm like super quiet on the recording of the call and stuff. But like, yeah, I mean, just take them through the proposal, talk about the service, and like answer any objections that they had. And then it was just like, yeah, let's do it. And so then once I got the Stripe notification, I mean, that was probably the craziest feeling like I've ever had, to be honest, because I mean, after all that time of like trying to do a business and like being half in and like the procrastination, and then like finally going all in and like going to Bali and like really allowing myself the chance to actually do what I want to do. Like I sent a screenshot of that to my mom and I was like, look, mom, like this is real. Like I can actually do this. Like, like I'm actually about it now. You know what I mean? And that was a crazy feeling. And then, yeah, like at that point, like once that happened to me, like it completely flipped my mind from I want to be a business owner to like I actually am. Like I have a real business. I'm actually providing value to these people. And like I think from that point, that's like where my mindset's been at, is like, no, I'm actually like a business owner. I'm actually about it. Like this is actually real. Like I can do this, you know?
100%, bro. And also, I'm sure a question that everybody will have is, how was that first call? Obviously, like, you'd never really taken many sales calls, or if with any sales calls at all, but like especially massive companies that could like pay you like 5-10K a month. So how was, obviously I'm sure you're working on nervous before because you never taken a sales call, but how was the call? If the first couple of calls, how did they go? Like, were they as scary as you thought? How did you go through them? What kind of questions did you get asked? How did you handle them? Like, yeah, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was nervous, right? Because I mean, I didn't have much sales experience. Like I said, I've only ever taken like a couple calls in my life. And even then I mean, that's not enough experience to really be comfortable on a sales call. So I remember a funny story. Like I remember calling you also at like 2 a.m. before one of the calls, like, can you help me like fix up my proposal so it's ready for this call? And then obviously you stayed on the phone for like 20 minutes. Um, so yeah, I mean, super thankful for that. Obviously, like you helped me fix up the proposal and then got on the call, obviously closed that client. And funny, it's funny to me because you look at the call recordings and you think like, there's no way it's this easy. But like, if I showed my call recording, like it's literally just like your call recording. Like you just run through the proposal and then they hardly have any questions or objections. And then it's just a matter of collecting payment and getting them onboarded. Like it's nothing crazy. Like the sales process, you don't really require like that many sales skills, to be honest. It's more of like an educational process than anything. Like just educating the prospect on like what you offer and like how it can actually benefit their business. And then from there, they're usually just good to go off the first call.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And that's exactly why, like, when we built the proposal doc, right? When I say proposal doc to you guys who don't know, proposal doc, when I say that, it's just like something that you pull up on screen, you share your screen on a sales call, and you just pretty much walk through it. And that the way that I build that for myself was obviously the same that I take my mentees through and the guys in the runner circle through. Like that per doc, if you pretty much just share your screen and read through that doc, the way that it's built, the way that I structure it, like that handles the sales for you. So what like even watching like Owen's recording, it's just the exact same as my first recording too. Just like normal greeting, normal conversation, like get to know them slightly, and then at some point in the conversation, just pull up your screen, go through the proposal doc, read through it pretty much like word by word, and then the way that that proposal doc is like structured and what you're going through, that is what does the sales for you. That's what does the sell for you. So all you need to do after that is just have a bit of confidence in yourself. That obviously that comes from learning. To just answer some questions, very basic questions I'll ask you, like what should we do from here? What do you think we should do? Blah blah blah. But yeah, like own experience, there wasn't really any objections. There wasn't like, oh, where's your past clients? Show me your past case studies. And even when if you did get asked that, you have a very simple response to it, which is just say like we can't really show you because we have NDAs, and that's it. So you don't have to be worried that you don't have any clients in the past because like it happened for me, like it happened for Owen. As long as you go through that proposal doc the way that I do it, and the way that I teach the guys to do it, it's just a normal conversation. It's not even a sales call anymore. And like Owen, nor did I ever study sales or like look into sales, which is a normal conversation, being helpful, trying to be of value to this person that you're on a call with. And yeah, by the end of it, they're the ones saying, yeah, how can we move forward? Let's get started. And obviously that's what happened for Owen, and they move forward straight away. So yeah, obviously having your first client, living in Bali, like you pretty much fit is like that's like peak life for like a 20, like no 20-year-old in the world's living that life. Like even when I was there in Bali, I didn't see any other 20-year-old, 21-year-old when I was there. So obviously I wasn't there at the same time, unfortunately, but you must have then only been the only 20-year-old there as well too. So how did it feel like just living that life for like months and months? Like how did it feel being able to just like wake up and not be in your parents' house and being able to go wherever you want, do whatever you want,
Yeah.
have the, and obviously we'll pull up clips of whatever Owen's gone, what I've got of like maybe used to live in Bali. Because I remember as well, before Owen moved to Bali and went there, I was like, I remember being on call with you and like jumping on and like pulling up Google Maps and like showing you exactly where we'd be living. Like I made sure that Owen had the right setup and where he was living, where he was staying, where he was going for food and gym and all that kind of stuff. So like yeah, how did it actually feel? Like going from living life at home, obviously like never really going anywhere, moving out anywhere, to then living in Bali as a 20-year-old, actually running a real business for real with a client getting paid. How did that feel? What was life like?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously it was completely transformational. Like even not even just in a business sense, but like just me as a person, like it definitely helped me grow a lot as an individual and as a man. And obviously like you said, like we get on call for like 2, 3 hours and just like talk about best places to go and like the best places to eat and stuff. So obviously that was really helpful too. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely like the youngest person I think in every room that I was in there. And
100%.
obviously was able to get into some smaller circles and that kind of thing. Like, I think just the contrast from working at like a normal job and like quitting that and within like a week being in rooms with like people that made like 100 grand the last 24 hours is just like completely opened my mind up to what was possible. And like just the places I would go and the people I would meet, I mean, it just completely transforms your perspective on what's possible. And to see other people also young, maybe not like exactly as young as you or me, but like to see how successful they are, even just a couple years ahead, is also like really inspirational, and it makes you see like it is possible. And
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, and also beyond that, obviously the lifestyle aspect was like really cool experience, like being able to wake up with the sunrise and then go to the beach in the Prairie Beach, which is obviously like one of the best probably experiences to see sunrise and sunset in all of Bali, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, I mean, like the gym there is obviously like insane, like way better than the gym at home. Like the people you meet there are crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Ice bath, sauna.
yeah, bro, and like the best, like some of the best food I've ever had. So yeah, I mean, that was probably the best like 2 or so months of my life so far. And like, I can only imagine like what it would be like for someone else watching this to go through a similar thing where they like go all in on themselves and like actually just allow themselves the opportunity to do something like that, no matter how scared you are. Because obviously, I was terrified to do it in the beginning too.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And also as well, you got to meet obviously a couple of the guys from the runner circle, a couple of the guys that I've taught. I've actually been able to move to Bali the same that Owen did, and
Yeah.
you were able to meet. I'm really good friends with one of the guys, Jordan. So shout out Jordan, well, one of the other mentees.
Yeah. Good.
He's also crushing it, with a similar growth founder agency working with ecom brands. So how was that? Like how was that experience of going from like obviously talking to the guys, like through calls and the voice calls and whatever, to then actually being able to meet one of them in real life? Like what happened? How was the experience with that?
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like obviously being at home, you don't really have many people that are like-minded. At least that's my case. I mean, that's probably your experience as well, but like there's no one really at home to talk to about these kinds of things in any like serious way. Where you guys can both share your vision and like what you're working on, that kind of thing. So yeah, obviously, I mean, being in Bali, like get to meet up at a cafe and just like work next to each other for like 4, 5, 6 hours. I mean, all day even. Like sometimes we did that. Like and just to like get the work done. Obviously, Jordan specifically is like one of the guys. Like we're good friends now, but like obviously he's doing something similar with like a e-commerce agency as well. So to be able to like bounce ideas off each other in person and stuff, and like just like talk about what's possible is, I mean, it's huge compared to like staying at home and just being in your room and not being able to really talk to anyone about that stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I'm sure a question that most people will have is like, how did I actually feel having your first client? Like actually being able to deliver the service, building a team for it. Like, how did that experience feel overall? Like actually having your first client for the first time. And like, were you scared about delivering the service? Was it a case of like, obviously we went through a lot of the stuff in terms of what the roadmap would be to actually fulfill the service with the client. So how was that experience of like initially while you were in Bali when you first signed that client? How was it like when you woke up every single day? Like, you just get to work, or how was that experience like actually delivering the service with the client?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like to some degree, I was still nervous because it's not something I'd done before. But I would say, like, especially working with you one on one, and like also having the guys in the winner circle, guys like Jordan, like it makes it like 1,000 times easier because even like let's say Jordan, who we were just talking about, like when I first signed on the client, I didn't have the team to fulfill because I was just like banging my head against the wall doing outreach, like trying to get anything going. And then when I finally did sign the client, shortly into doing outreach, like I wasn't prepared to necessarily bring them on. Like I didn't have a team. So Jordan actually let me have his VA that was already fulfilling the same service for someone else. Like, so he kind of came in clutch. So yeah, I mean, without the guys from like the group and like without your help, like it definitely would have been 100 times harder. But yeah, I mean, obviously it goes a lot smoother when you have the outside support. So
Yeah, 100%, bro. I can imagine. Like, that's one of the key things as well. Like, one of the ways that I really, when I built the winner circle and like I started to teach people the business model that I created, the growth founder agency model, one of the biggest things that I wanted to make sure was that whenever you join the winner circle, it's not just about like obviously most programs in the world is just like how to send a client. That's pretty much all you get in top. How to send a client, how to build your offer, something like a very basic level, how to do outreach. But I really want to make it a really important thing where like you're building a real company with like providing real value. Like, you know, then this is like a long-term sustainable company. It's not like your service arbitrage like we talked about before, like drop servicing or getting somebody else to do it for you. Like, it's not like you're doing all the work all the time, but like you are involved. Like, you really want to get this company and get great results because they are a partner for you. And then in the future as well, this is what also happened for Owen as well. I remember you told me that that first ever client you signed, they actually offered you equity in the company. Like, if you did well for us, if you do well for us, and things go well, then we'll offer you equity in the company. And like that would never happen with like a basic agency. Like, they saw you as like, even from the sales call, your first ever sales call, they saw you as a partner, and like they said that, okay, like if you actually do well, then we see you as a partner in the business. We'll give you equity in the business too. So obviously that is why you kind of, it's not just like you want to just like fulfill the service bare minimum just to get the money, like to make them happy for a few months. Like, this company that you're working with is like a real partner for you. And obviously the potential that has for you in terms of the money you can make, the connections you can make, the things you can do in the world, the expertise we'll have is like unreal compared to like what you would have working with like a local business doing like, you know, lead gen or AI automation, something like that. So yeah, like how did it feel? Like, obviously, probably the first ever time being offered like a deal like that, you know, just like a business owner who's actually obviously successful saying to you like, if you work with us and you do well, then, you know, we're more than happy to offer you equity. Like, how does that feel compared to when you were trying to build agency before and you're like the way you were thinking about how it was going to be like working with the client? How did it feel compared to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy, especially like I said before, like working the job, like one week I'm working for minimum wage at like awful hours, and the next week I have like like seven-figure e-commerce founders on the phone like offering me equity in their company is like a pretty crazy experience. But I mean, yeah, like obviously like that's super cool, and like I think that's one of the biggest perks about running an agency model in the way that like you teach and the way that obviously I'm doing it now is like the way that you can kind of like transition into owning brands and like having equity in brands is pretty much seamless compared to if you were to run like a basic service providing agency. It would be like a lot more of a transition. So yeah, I mean, like the model, like it just allows you to have more of like a long-term vision. I think that's one of the biggest things that we kind of like go on about in the group and that kind of thing is like, what's your long-term vision, and actually having a long-term vision and trying to be someone that provides real value in the world, not just like a basic drop servicing, like money making method.
100%. Because that is like one of the main things that I teach in the Winner Circle. Absolutely, we talked about a lot in the beginning too. Like, to really build this business properly, it's not like a business you just start just to make money, just a way to make 5, 10K a month. It's like you're building this business to actually benefit you long term. It's almost like you're getting paid to become who you want to be as an entrepreneur, to then build your next business, which obviously will be the one that will make you a multimillionaire. Like, the whole goal of the growth planner agency, obviously you can make 50K a month, 100K a month for sure, and that's where Owen will be very soon. But the whole goal of it for Owen and for me, and that's what we kind of got clarity on in the beginning, and that's what I think set Owen apart massively, is that he knew that like this wealth planner agency for me is a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone to then going to the next step of division as being an entrepreneur, and like division to, you know, be a multimillionaire in the future and like build really cool things in like an empire in business. Like, this was like his first step. Like what I'm learning from first building the agency, like signing clients and then actually delivering the service, is like directly going to benefit me. And I actually want and need that knowledge and like that experience for myself, not just like to get results for the clients, but actually I want it for myself. So that like puts like a different drive under you to like do well and like actually like build a real company, because that company obviously itself can then turn into like, for example, an investment firm the same way that I'm doing it, where we, so for example, start to invest into brands and buy into brands the same way that you would offer an equity. But also as well, the same with me, both Owen and I have very similar visions in that sense, where we both wanted to build our own ecom brands and get into building our own brands and turning them into multiple 7-figure, 8-figure brands in the future. And obviously working with the clients that we're working with, it's like very similar type of companies that we would want to build ourselves in the future. So we're pretty much getting paid 5-10K a month plus rev share, plus maybe even equity, to actually learn how to grow the company we want to start ourselves in the future. So like, if you think about it that way, it's pretty sick, you know. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
we're getting paid to become who we want to become. So like, if you like, rather than starting an ecom brand yourself or like, you know, moving on to that step straight away, just get paid massive amounts of money. You make 50K a month, have everything you need, the money, the team, the knowledge, the expertise. And then when you have all that together, like for example, I'm very sure we'll talk about this as well, like you'll have by the end of this year, you can then go on to then, you know, start next year, either build your own ecom brand, move into investing into brands, you know, do really cool things, which is what a lot of the guys in the winner circle, like that is why I let them in. Like, it's a very tight knit community, and obviously that's why it's so good for us. Like, you know, in terms of the calls, it's like we're talking about the same thing. We're on the same wavelength. We want to build big things in the future. We want to build empires in the future. So yeah, you need to have that if you want to be part of the runner circle. You want to be a mentee of mine. Like you need to have that vision, and you may not have it straight away, but that's something that I teach you and something that we go through as part of the process in the beginning, which is like a really big differentiator between a normal agency owner, like a normal kind of guy that starts an SMMA, compared to a growth partner agency owner. Is that the growth partner agency owner actually has clarity on where he's going in life, like how this growth partner agency serves him getting there. So there's no chance of quitting and going back, or like going back to your normal life, because like it was for Owen. Like you can see, like he's the best example, honestly, of like someone that just went all in. And like I knew that he went all in because of he saw himself as like someone that is an entrepreneur. And like no matter how much money he makes, like he's an entrepreneur now. Like he's not going back. Like he knows his vision, he has clarity on it, and that's obviously something that we worked on together for like a while. Did a lot of research, read a lot of books, looked into a lot of things while he was building his agency, and that played a massive part in him like doing the work properly and then like going all in the way that he did. So like we just talked about. So even though this may seem like the after interview, like the after kind of like success story, in my opinion, and I think Owen as well, this is like the before. Even though he has done really well for himself, he's like got incredible success really early on, like faster than even I did. What would you say? Like, what is the plan from now? Let's say, for example, in like end of the year. So it's January 2025 right now. By the end of the year, you still be like around 21, right? So what do you want? Where do you want to be with the agency first? Like revenue wise, monthly revenue. Where do you want to be with the agency?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to be doing like 50K a month profit at least for sure. So like, 10 partners, at least 5K a month each. Plus obviously revenue share on at least some of them. Just depends on what offer we're selling them on. But that would be like the agency goal. And then yeah, I mean, more like personal goal, like obviously get out on my own, like probably go somewhere again, get my own place, get a nice place, and just continue like fulfilling my long-term vision, like taking the next step for sure. Just like this year for me is about setting the foundation, becoming like more solidified version of like who I want to become in the future.
Yeah, 100%. And like like we both know that you'll become a multimillionaire in the future. And this is like this year is like your year to like really make that reality, I guess. Like obviously like it's setting the foundations for you, having the knowledge, having the expertise, having the team, having like a real asset, like a real business built. So like what you've built here and what you learned from that business can then translate to then you building multiple other companies in the future, in the next year or so, next after you scale your agency. Um, that they can go on to make you millions and millions within a couple of years' time. So, like one thing I want to ask you is like, how confident do you feel like compared to, for example, let's say when I asked you what was your goal when you first started out before we kind of worked together, when you would say to me, for example, 10K a month, 5K a month, my first client, like how confident do you feel now at 50K a month with the growth partner agency model, the way that you understand how we sign clients, how predictable it is, how like sustainable it is, how it's not just like luck. And like obviously the fact that you can sign on clients for 5K a month and you've experienced like how kind of easy that is in a sense. So how do you confident do you feel in that idea now of hitting 50K a month? And like that big number, obviously it's scary to most people. It's like far fetched to most people, like a dream. So how would you feel like that? Like how confident are you in that now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much obviously nothing's 100% guaranteed, but in my mind, it's basically going to happen like 100%. Just because like obviously I've seen what I'm capable of in terms of like my outreach results and like me putting together offers and that kind of thing. Like I know that I can put together something that can scale that much. So it's just a matter of doing the inputs and like hitting the KPIs at this point. And obviously like I've seen you do it as well. Just like looking at what you've been doing with your agency. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason why I can't hit the goals I just said. To me, and this is another thing I think we talk about a lot too on our calls, you and me, is goals versus tasks and like what is considered a goal. And I guess it might sound kind of crazy to the average person watching this or like someone who isn't in this mindset, but like even me saying my goal is to scale to 50K, like honestly, that's more of something on my task list than like a real goal because I know exactly how to get there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just a matter of like the inputs. As long as I do the outreach numbers and as long as I'm taking enough sales calls, like I'm bound to get there. So to me, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I'm also not too concerned with the when too. Like I think it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. And then I'll fulfill my vision on the time frame that it's supposed to be fulfilled on. And yeah, I have pretty much no doubt at this point.
100%. Like I just said there, like the timeline doesn't really make a difference because
Yeah.
for me, when I first hit 50K a month, that happened in 6 months, but I didn't have that as my goal. Like I just knew the same way that Owen mindset is now. I knew that there was things that need to be done. There's KPIs that need to be hit. As long as those KPIs are hit in terms of daily outreach messages, and obviously not done by you, but just done by your VA. So it's pretty much like not even like it's like nothing for you to do after you build anything. It's just like just trust your VA to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, apart from that, like it's just like letting it happen, letting it do its thing. The whole system of how the outreach works, how calls get booked in. It's all automated from day one. So like even though we say 1 year, like obviously thinking about it now, like obviously 50K a month is just talking about the retainers, right? But let's say, for example, like very likely you'll have 10 partners, maybe eight, maybe even seven partners that are paying you like 5 to 7K a month as a retainer, as a base retainer, and they give you maybe like 10% rev share, which is obviously very similar to what I have. Most, like for example, most of my clients are around 8 to 9K as a retainer, or maybe even 10K in USD, and then they give us around 10 to 15% of the rev share. And obviously, when you have that, and obviously when you get results for those clients within the first like maybe 6 months of working with them, like your billings in a month can go from just that basic 5K retainer to then being paid 15, 20K, maybe even up to 30K on a very good month in a Black Friday month. So that's obviously what I have in my agency, which just makes it such like a good business for me. That I'll never like throw away in that sense. So even though Owen's saying 50K a month, like I can honestly see him gets maybe even close to like 70, 80, 100K a month by the end of the year, especially because I know how like dedicated he is, and like he's so driven to get good results for his clients. That actually he wants that knowledge for himself. Like because he's like that, that can then mean that he has maybe even 7, 8 clients paying him around 10, 15K a month from the retainer plus the revenue share, and like the revenue share is pure profit. So yeah, like even though 50K a month is like the task, like I'd say that even 100K a month is like some on the cards, especially having me, having the guys that we have in the winner circle that are going to make sure we do everything, you can do everything properly, and having the accountability there. So yeah, bro, I'm extremely excited to see that. Like this, even though this is the before interview in our eyes, like we'll by the end of the year, maybe even summertime when you scale up, we'll do like an after interview, probably in Bali and Dubai, something nice. We'll sit down together in like a nice studio or something with some nice views, and we'll talk about how the journey's been. And also as well, something that's gonna be really cool is that Owen's actually going to document everything that he's doing as well. So he's going to start a personal brand too. Obviously, that's up to Owen in terms of how much he goes into it, but he said to me, like, hold him accountable now. I hope this keeps him accountable. Where like he's going to start documenting his journey a bit more, as much as he can, showing the process of what he's doing and building his own growth partner agency, scaling it up, even just life in general as an entrepreneur, documenting his journey of becoming a millionaire. So that's something that I'm really excited to see. Obviously, it's what I'm doing, and it's really happy. Like, it makes me really happy that you feel like how much value that you can get out of that, like just documenting the journey and sharing that with other people, and how inspiring you can be to other people just by sharing your journey. So something that I'll definitely leave a link to Owen's new channel in the description. He starts posting videos, then you'll definitely subscribe and watch his videos. You can see him go through the journey just the same way that I'm doing it myself too. So yeah, also when it comes to how would you say, like, let's say for example, like, how would you say the winner circle, being a part of the community, learning the way, like, learning how to build a growth planner agency the way that I've taught you, and is learning from me, like one on one as well. How has that, like, overall helped you get to where you are? And what would you say about that?
I mean, I think it's helped me in pretty much every way I could imagine. Like, I can't imagine being in the position I would be without having first gone through like the course and the material that you put together. And then obviously, like, I mean, the countless hours that we spent on the phone, just like one on one as well, and like the
Yeah,
messages back and forth. Like, I mean, everything. It's not like one thing. It's all of it put together. Is like completely transformed me as like a person, and also my mindset when it comes to business. So yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not one thing. It's just I think everything all put together has transformed me in pretty much every way. Like I can't imagine this journey. Like I can't imagine where I would be if I didn't uh, have that experience of like going through everything you put together and the hours that we spent together.
100%, bro, 100%.
Yeah.
And what would you say? Let's say, for example, like a guy watching this video and has seen your journey, and he thinks, now, okay, like, actually, I want to build a growth partner agency. I want to be like Owen. I want to do this same way that he's done it. What would you say to him if, like, he's asking you, should I build a growth partner agency? Should I join the winner circle? Should I learn from Kasim? What would you say to him?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say a couple things. Like for one, what do you have to lose? Because obviously you're not in a position that you want to be in life. If you're looking to like start this like a business, obviously like um, you want something more out of life, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if you're not in that position already, what do you really have to lose? Because like if I look at where I was a year ago, just working a normal job, like I didn't have too much going. Like obviously I had the vision and everything, but like nothing tangible yet. I'm assuming that's where most people probably watching this are in as well, is in that similar position I was in when we first got started. Um, so that'd be the first thing I'd say is like invest in yourself. Like that's definitely, I guess it's somewhat cliche, but like if I didn't, then I wouldn't be here today, like, on this interview. So that's the first thing. Definitely invest in yourself. And then obviously don't give up. Like I used to be a huge procrastinator and I used to do like a couple days, like sprints at a time of like getting stuff done, but I was never consistent. But even though that wasn't ideal, and like if I could go back and change anything, it would just be to be more consistent. Like the fact that I never gave up is also partly why I'm here right now. So yeah, I mean, I would say bet on yourself and just keep at it. And like, there's no way that you won't be in the seat that I'm in right now doing an interview, 12 months from now if you get started today. So I would say like, don't wait any longer. Like if you've been like me thinking about changing or like doing something more with your life for like months or even years, like just do it, like what's the worst that's going to happen? You're just going to end up where you are right now. So yeah.
100%. And like, I'm going to be totally honest as well. Like, it wasn't like obviously working with me one on one and being a part of what I do. It's not like it's a business for me, but it's not also not free. Like Owen did make a multiple four-figure investment as a 19, 20-year-old to work with me. Like that is insane. Like that level of commitment, which the money he earned himself to invest that into himself and learning to build a business like that. And that in itself, obviously, a lot of people do that as well, and they invest into the wrong person. But yeah, even that in itself, Owen investing multiple four figures into learning from someone that he's not, that he trusts to build an agency, build a growth planner agency, like that in itself, like is a testament to Owen's commitment. I feel like that's a kind of common theme that we've seen across the whole interview, like talking to Owen, like his commitment that he's put in from the start. Like obviously, yeah, it wasn't always great. Like there was a couple of months in the beginning where he wasn't doing much for himself in terms of like progressing much. But when he got started, like he really like committed to everything. He went fully all in, obsessed. Obviously, that translated to him moving to Bali, setting his first client, and I feel like he's been rewarded very well in terms of like the universe or God has rewarded him very well for this first commitment and trusting himself in the process. So yeah, I feel like that's a nice place to end off. So overall, just to round it off, what would you say is like your last thoughts on overall the winner's circle, the both planner agency model, and just I guess working with me? What would you say is like one of the things you want somebody to know?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say definitely like if you're looking to start a business and you're looking to like transform your life and you're not just looking for like a basic money making method or like something that everyone else out there is doing just to make like a next quick buck online or something, like if you actually want something more for your life, then you're definitely at least around the right place. Like even if you're not joining the group specifically, like maybe if you don't have enough money yet, or maybe you're not ready to invest in yourself, like even just watching like let's say Kasim's YouTube videos, like it's going to put you in a better state of mind than pretty much anything else that you could watch online, like I used to be, and I'm sure Kasim used to be before he like became who he is today as well. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I would say invest in yourself. Like if you do have the means and you're tired of waiting around and like you want to actually make a change in your life, then like I would say do it. You have nothing to lose. Otherwise, like keep like don't give up, just keep at it. Like have the right influences around you, like watching Kasim's videos, and I'm sure that you'll be like I said, in the seat that I'm in today, so eventually with your own story. So yeah.
100%, 100%. So yeah, guys, make sure to keep up with Owen as well. Like I'm sure many of you will want to see Owen progress in his journey, which even I do as well. I'm excited to see the videos from you too. So I'm sure whenever Owen is ready, he'll start posting his videos. So I'll leave the link to his channel in the description. Subscribe to him, watch his stuff when he puts it out. You can see him going through his journey of building his growth planner agency. And if you want to get started too, then if you want to go ahead and take the first step, then you can go ahead and do that. So the first link in the description of this video right now, I'll put a link to join the free community. And inside of there, you can access the free course that I built. So even, like a lot of what Owen learned in the beginning, I go through in that free course. Like that is information I feel like if a guy like Owen like went through that in the beginning, I didn't have that in the beginning when he first came to me. But if I had that in the beginning, that would I'm sure would have been life changing for Owen when he first started. So yeah, if you want to go through the course that I built, the free course I built, which pretty much I go through the entire process of how I built and scaled my own agency to 50K a month in 6 months, which of course Owen did the exact same process himself to get to where he is now and where he will be by the end of the year as well. Then click the first link in the description and go ahead and join. There's completely free, no payments whatsoever. And yeah, I guess Owen, any last words about I guess overall being an entrepreneur, starting a growth planner agency? Then we'll finish up there.
Yeah, I guess like final thing would be like obviously you guys have the free group. Like even I didn't have that in the beginning. Like Kasim said, like I started up with like a huge investment from the very start. So like the fact that you guys watching this right now have an opportunity to actually join something for free, that's like pretty much as valuable as what I got like when I paid for all that time ago. Like if you're not going to join the group for free, like I would say probably just stop watching these videos. Like because if you're not going to do anything, there's no point in like just torturing yourself, like watching content. So definitely, if you guys want to actually make a change, like definitely join the group, like Kasim said. And I guess final thing would be like, just remember, like, I'm not special. Like Kasim is, we're both just guys. Like I'm sure pretty much everyone else watching this video, like we're just guys. We're not special. Like you just put your head down and like do the work and like follow the course that Kasim laid out, and like you'll get there too.
100%. All right, guys. So much love. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave in the comments below what you thought of. Congratulate Owen. Let him know what you think of him, of his journey and him in general. Show him some support, because I'm sure it'd be very, very nice for him to see some support from you guys. But yeah, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love.